Hi, it's Xavier. Welcome to my bonsai retreat, and guess what? Finally, I'm going to be dealing with the apples. We're approaching the middle of summer, and to be fair, most stuff's going a bit dormant right now, but I found it hasn't actually caused any issues by doing pruning now, and I've got to be looking at some of these. Now, I've actually been developing these since they were introduced to me from Papa Stronze in the Orkneys, the religious monks up there used to eat their apples and save their pips and plant them, and this is one of those. So we're going to have a look at this apple and do a bit of pruning and just show you it's finally coming on to becoming potentially a credible bonsai. In fact, let's give you another example. This may even be a crabapple actually, and I still haven't got to the bottom of the difference between the crabapple and the apple, apart from obviously the size, but
it ain't the size that matters.
Identifying them. But I think this could actually be crabapple, and I bought a whole pile of crabapple 2-year-old little saplings back in 2017, so this could be one of those. So I'm going to be pruning these back too. You can enjoy that? Hang around, there's bound to be loads to cut. Not all of my decisions will you agree with, but make sure you let me know in the comments. So should we get on with it then? Now, apple is considered what you call a coarse growing species. It's certainly never going to be your fine barked maple or your Korean hornbeam. Now, it's going to be lumpy, blotchy, with bulges and swellings all over the place.
Just like you.
Because when you prune it, the way it responds is often quite lumpy. So, in many ways, I had to train myself to stop being so perfectionist about the way it actually looked and recognise that it's an apple. We've got a nice little shape here. I like this. What I really want to do is take it right back. We've got some old leaves here. Got this great big growth here. I'm going to take this off. So we've got this. We follow this one up. We've got a little bit of growth in here. Let's just remove this for now. A couple of big leaves I want to get rid of. I think the main thing that I'm watching out for on all these is woolly aphid, and in this instance absolutely none on there. See whether or not I've got some apple rust. Yellowing probably needs a little bit more iron in there, so I'll add some iron. Is it sequestered media? I think it's something like that, or collated iron. I don't know. So I'm going to definitely add some of that to that when I've done all these at the end. That's the first one done. So let's work our way through. This is a crabapple, and again it was allowed to just grow wild in one of my nursery beds, and to be fair, I've been very late on trying to work out what to do with apples because they've been pretty unhealthy most of the time. On these, actually, you notice some of them have got a black powdery spot. You can see it here, and it's killing the leaf off. It's that black powder on there. It's on that leaf. It doesn't seem to be as bad on this branch, but here it's on there as well. So anyone who's had experience with apple and tell me what that black is, I mean, I'll go online and have a look. But I certainly haven't any treatment for it, and it looks like the red apple rust as well. A lot of green leaves as well, but I need to sort this out. So in that existing format, are we going to make use of much of this? Well, bearing in mind there's a lot of yuckiness on this, I really don't see much purpose of that. I'm going to grow the tree from here up. So who wants a big chop then? Here we go. And that's gone. Now, because that's very, very much affected, we need to make sure that it's thrown out with the rubbish and not passed on amongst everything else.
Like you would normally.
Cut could have been just a wee bit better, so I'm just going to clean that cut up, and then a load of cut paste on it. And that's purely so it doesn't dry out too much, get more infections in the tree. But also I find this certainly helps in just controlling the degree of dieback. Could be a mother's tale, but I imagine what'll happen is this will die back all the way back around here, and I'll be able to clean that up and do more on that probably next year. That's a lovely trunk. We're going to let this grow, we're going to let both of those grow off, and before we go any further, just give it a general spray with more of a multi-purpose organic. It's bug spray. It's not really designed for fungus, so I'm not sure it's going to be up for the rust, but I need to mix up my rust related stuff. And that's all I'm going to do for that one. Yeah, interesting. We need that to go. That needs to probably develop twice the thickness yet, so we'll let both those shoots go off. Ready for the next one then. Looking at this one, very angular, I know. Probably be nice to have got something to develop from here. Not convinced it's ever really going to make it as a decent tree. But what I will do, I've noticed there again, we've got this redness, probably the apple rust. We need to make sure any affected leaves, we get rid of them. It's also got some of that black on the bottom of those leaves. I'm going to remove those. Got this great big growth under here, which I don't actually like. Right, let's go back further. No, I didn't take it all the way off to there. And that, as I say, is that. What I will do, a bit of putty, a bit of paste, just to cut paste, just to seal those sites. That's that one. Now this crabapple, again, hasn't really been developed in any way, but what it has got is a perfect example of what apple rust looks like. It's horrible, it gets all over it, and it doesn't kill the tree, but it certainly doesn't look very nice. And you get all those spores, and it is very, very yucky, yuck. Again, across there, and it spreads all around the plant. We don't like that. What's the future for something like this? Because let's be honest, it's really a garden tree, and unless I get budding lower down, it's very hard to see where we're going to go with it. So all I'm going to do is I call my speculative pruning. Just to cut everything right back. I mean, all these little points here, just to show you, I mean, for the most of you will have known what it's like looking at apple or crabapple, where your next buds are going to come from. They really do bud profusely, so you never be that worried about pruning back to bare flesh, so to speak.
Not flesh.
I mean, if we follow this branch along, you can see there's a little bud there, little bud there, little bud there. There's little nodules, and each of those will be bud points. There's some lower down, and because of that, I want these ones down here. Let's just neaten that up a bit better, and then we'll see how they come out. With that in mind, it's very hard with a tree that this is to build this. Really, that's too straight with that. I need to take that one back further. And I've got quite a few like this that I'm going to treat exactly the same way. Some of them I've actually trunk chopped back, and if I look right down there, there's the same sort of bud points there. So maybe by the time I get to autumn, I've had enough of this. I'll do exactly that. Similarly, we've got another one with a great big 4-foot shoot on it. This has actually got a nice little bit of movement in there I quite like. So what I will do is probably there. So we've got something more along those lines. At least there's some more interesting movement there, and it may be that I remove this branch entirely, take it away that way. I can imagine these long ones will get shortened like this at a later stage. Well, maybe now. Interesting to see. Woolly aphids, not interesting, but we've got it all under there. Always keep an eye out on those, because they will suck the life out of your prize fruit tree. Again, with all of these, what I can see is slowly I cut further and further back, and perhaps the real option would be to just cut them back straight away. But yeah, it's fun growing them like this. Let's just give them a spray with my general purpose spray. Big wound at the top. Just cut paste it. And as I say, apple or crabapple and apple are very, very hardy species. Hopefully grow something over that way. That could be quite interesting.
Danger! Danger!
Do you know what? I've already, in my head, I've been talking about that last tree, what I should do, and I'm going to do it. Turn away if this could be painful. It's a pencil stump. Should we see what grows from it? Now, I'm going to say this again. Sometimes I can come across real casual and cavalier, and most of the time I pick trees that I already know are never going to make it as a bonsai, and truthfully are just year to year growing, nothing about them, and I really no interest. That's why I'll do something with this. If it dies, well, truthfully I was never going to progress it any further. Every now and then though I do that, and I regret the decision, but that's bonsai. So if anyone was squeamish about that, sorry, but I do think there'll be some nice shoots coming from it later in the year. Now, I'm certainly not going to take you through all 30 similar apple styles or crab apples that I've got, but principle's going to be the same, but I'll just show you two more. This one has developed again quite nicely, but when I talk about coarse, I'll show you what I mean by that. First thing is wound healing, really, really scabby and large, but you get these things here quite regularly on apples, and they don't harm the tree, but they cause little bulges and all over them, and you get these lumpy bits, and it's very, very coarse and rough. So don't be worried, but you can still get some nice shape and movement. Those lumps, by the way, it's called gall, and I've shown it in a previous video. It doesn't do any damage. There's something actually inside, I think, that injects some sort of stuff that causes it to swell and expand. I'm sure there's someone there who can write in the comments what it actually is and does, but if you look it up, apple gall or something like that, sometimes you get wasp gall, and it's actually where they've laid their eggs or something, but it's pretty common. Lovely move. I'm just going to get rid of a few big leaves so I can see what's going on. Don't really need to do anything to that branch. Little branch here, happy with that. Let's just get rid of a few leaves there. Notice I've got some powder on there, which means we've got the potential woolly aphid about. Nice little pad there. Growing up from there, that's actually potentially 3 from 1 point, so I'm actually going to do that. Probably do with that coming back a bit in length, but for now let's just leave that. So I don't really need to do much. Then we come up, following it up. This one is probably nearing the point where that's continuing to come over, and I don't really want that. If I was honest, what I really want is it to go from there. With that bearing in mind, that means I do need to shorten that. And that's probably all I'm going to do with that, so I just need to seal the end. bit of anti-what's-it spray. And that's all done. Get rid of the weeds. Move on to the next one. This one, very unusual as well. Got this great big knot of roots up here. And it had a great big straight branch going up there, which I didn't like, so we've gone here, but unfortunately I still think that is far too straight. I mean, I'd love to go thin and slim and elegant Literati, but as I say, they're very coarse. They don't really work that way. But I'm going to try to. So I'm going to clean up some of the spurs that I've already got from last year's pruning. This doesn't seem to be growing. I noticed that under here, woolly aphid. Let's get rid of that. So we've got little branches that come from there and there. We've got this one there, which I think, to be honest, I think that's probably where I want to go. You know, I mean, look, that's really, really nice there. More woolly aphids. But it's so high up the tree, I'd rather have that division lower down. So let's see if we can encourage. There's a bud there. Hopefully by removing that, we've got this side here, but just here is a bud, and just there is also a bud. Much prefer to get that bud there activating, or the one under it to open. And often what you'll find is that I start chasing these further down, and it may be that eventually I'll be cutting down to there and growing this on, or indeed I'll be waiting for a sucker lower down to grow. The reason why I've kept this is because I love this interesting tangled root structure that's there. I'll apologise now, I don't have a great collection of what you'd call bonsai apple. I haven't got things, I mean, I know Jason, Hannah the Bonsai Garden, has got some great crab apples. Mine are very much in a juvenile style, so I haven't got any great stuff to show you. Truth be told, probably Zita's apple is my best example, and this is still a long way from being considered any sort of decent bonsai material, but it's making its way. So if you've enjoyed my little foray in apples and crab apple, then big thumbs up. If anyone out there can find me an easy way to identify them when they're still young and they don't bear fruit, the difference between the two, then please whack that down in the comments. And I'd love to see some pictures of your apples or crab apples that are mature, because I'd like to think that one day I might actually get a few of them, if I live long enough and my trees live long enough. So if you've liked this, as I've said, big thumbs up. Otherwise, please humbly ask you to share, subscribe, and most of all, hit the bell notifications. The algorithm loves bell notifications. Make sure you select all as well. And apart from that, enjoy your bonsai, enjoy living and your family and life in general. And you know what? When life's a bit miserable, you can always come out, play with your trees and inflict your misery on them. So from Xavier, happy bonsai and God bless. Cheers.